reimbursement is not specified in the contract, and D. Depreciation of idle plant and equipment that is not used on a particular contract. Para 20. Contract costs include the costs attributable to a contract for the period from the date of securing the contract to the final completion of the contract. However, costs that relate directly to a contract and which are incurred in securing the contract are also included as part of the contract costs if they can be separately identified and measured reliably and it is probable that the contract will be obtained. When costs incurred in securing a contract are recognized as an expense in the period in which they are incurred, they are not included in contract costs when the contract is obtained in a subsequent period. Recognition of contract revenue and expenses. Para 21. When the outcome of a construction contract can be estimated reliably, contract revenue and contract costs associated with the construction contract should be recognized as revenue and expenses, respectively, by reference to the stage of completion of the contract activity at the reporting date. An expected loss on the construction contract should be recognized as an expense immediately in accordance with paragraph 35. Para 22. In the case of a fixed-price contract, the outcome of a construction contract can be estimated reliably when all the following conditions are satisfied. A. Total contract revenue can be measured reliably. B. It is probable that the economic benefits associated with the contract will flow to the enterprise. C. Both the contract costs to complete the contract and the stage of contract completion at the reporting date can be measured reliably. And D. The contract costs attributable to the contract can be clearly identified and measured reliably so that actual contract costs incurred can be compared with prior estimates. Para 23. In the case of a cost-plus contract, the outcome of a construction contract can be estimated reliably when all the following conditions are satisfied. A. It is probable that the economic benefits associated with the contract will flow to the enterprise. And B. The contract costs attributable to the contract, whether or not specifically reimbursable, can be clearly identified and measured reliably. Para 24. The recognition of revenue and expenses by reference to the stage of completion of a contract is often referred to as the percentage of completion method. Under this method, contract revenue is matched with the contract costs incurred in reaching the stage of completion, resulting in the reporting of revenue, expenses, and profit which can be attributed to the proportion of work completed. This method provides useful information on the extent of contract activity and performance during a period. Para 25. Under the percentage of completion method, contract revenue is recognized as revenue in the statement of profit and loss in the accounting periods in which the work is performed. Contract costs are usually recognized as an expense in the statement of profit and loss in the accounting periods in which the work to which they relate is performed. However, any expected excess of total contract costs over total contract revenue for the contract is recognized as an expense immediately in accordance with paragraph 35. Para 26. A contractor may have incurred contract costs that relate to future activity on the contract. Such contract costs are recognized as an asset provided it is probable that they will be recovered. Such costs represent an amount due from the customer and are often classified as contract work in progress. Para 27. When an uncertainty arises about the collectibility of an amount already included in contract revenue and already recognized in the statement of profit and loss, the uncollectible amount or the amount in respect of which recovery has ceased to be probable is recognized as an expense rather than as an Adjustment of the amount of contract revenue. Para 28. An enterprise is generally able to make reliable estimates after it has agreed to a contract which establishes a. Each party's enforceable rights regarding the asset to be constructed, b. the consideration to be exchanged, and c. the manner and terms of settlement. It is also usually necessary for the enterprise to have an effective internal financial budgeting and reporting system. The enterprise reviews and, when necessary, revises the estimates of contract revenue and contract costs as the contract progresses. The need for such revisions does not necessarily indicate that the outcome of the contract cannot be estimated reliably. Para 29. The stage of completion of a contract may be determined in a variety of ways. The enterprise uses the method that measures reliably the work performed. Depending on the nature of the contract, the methods may include a. the proportion that contract costs incurred for work performed up to the reporting date bear to the estimated total contract costs, or b. surveys of work performed, or c. completion of a physical proportion of the contract work. Progress payments and advances received from customers may not necessarily reflect the work performed. Para 30. When the stage of completion is determined by reference to the contract costs incurred up to the reporting date, only those contract costs that reflect work performed are included in costs incurred up to the reporting date. Examples of contract costs which are excluded are a. contract costs that relate to future activity on the contract, such as costs of materials that have been delivered to a contract site or set aside for use in a contract but not yet installed, used or applied during contract performance, unless the materials have been made specially for the contract, and b. payments made to subcontractors in advance of work performed under the subcontract. Para 31. When the outcome of a construction contract cannot be estimated reliably, a. revenue should be recognized only to the extent of contract costs incurred of which recovery is probable, and b. contract costs should be recognized as an expense in the period in which they are incurred. An expected loss on the construction contract should be recognized as an expense immediately in accordance with paragraph 35. Para 32. During the early stages of a contract, it is often the case that the outcome of the contract cannot be estimated reliably. Nevertheless, it may be probable that the enterprise will recover the contract costs incurred. Therefore, contract revenue is recognized only to the extent of costs incurred that are expected to be recovered. As the outcome of the contract cannot be estimated reliably, no profit is recognized. However, even though the outcome of the contract cannot be estimated reliably, it may be probable that total contract costs will exceed total contract revenue. In such cases, any expected excess of total contract costs over total contract revenue for the contract is recognized as an expense immediately in accordance with paragraph 35. Para 33. Contract costs recovery of which is not probable are recognized as an expense immediately. Examples of circumstances in which the recoverability of contract costs incurred may not be probable, and in which contract costs may, therefore, need to be recognized as an expense immediately include contracts a. which are not fully enforceable, that is, their validity is seriously in question, b. the completion of which is subject to the outcome of pending litigation or legislation, c. relating to properties that are likely to be condemned or expropriated, d. where the customer is unable to meet its obligations, or e. where the contractor is unable to complete the contract or otherwise meet its obligations under the contract. Para 34. When the uncertainties that prevented the outcome of the contract being estimated reliably no longer exist, revenue and expenses associated with the construction contract should be recognized in accordance with paragraph 21 rather than in accordance with paragraph 31. Para 35. When it is probable that total contract costs will exceed total contract revenue, the expected loss should be recognized as an expense immediately. Para 36. The amount of such a loss is determined irrespective of A. whether or not work has commenced on the contract, B. the stage of completion of contract activity, or C. the amount of profits expected to arise on other contracts which are not treated as a single construction contract, in accordance with paragraph 8. Changes in estimates. Para 37. The percentage of completion method is applied on a cumulative basis in each accounting period to the current estimates of contract revenue and contract costs. Therefore, the effect of a change in the estimate of contract revenue or contract costs, or the effect of a change in the estimate of the outcome of a contract, is accounted for as a change in accounting estimate. See Accounting Standard as 5, net profit or loss for the period prior. Period items and changes in accounting policies. The changed estimates are used in determination of the amount of revenue and expenses recognized in the statement of profit and loss in the period in which the change is made and in subsequent periods. Disclosure. Para 38. An enterprise should disclose A. the amount of contract revenue recognized as revenue in the period, B. the methods used to determine the contract revenue recognized in the period, and C. the methods used to determine the stage of completion of contracts in progress. Para 39. An enterprise should disclose the following for contracts in progress at the reporting date: A. the aggregate amount of costs incurred and recognized profits, less recognized losses, up to the reporting date; B. the amount of advances received; and C. the amount of retentions. Para 40. Retentions are amounts of progress billings which are not paid until the satisfaction of conditions specified in the contract for the payment of such amounts, or until defects have been rectified. Progress billings are amounts billed for work performed on a contract whether or not they have been paid by the customer. Advances are amounts received by the contractor before the related work is performed. Para 41. An enterprise should present A. the gross amount due from customers for contract work as an asset, and B. the gross amount due to customers for contract work as a liability. Para 42. The gross amount due from customers for contract work is the net amount of A. costs incurred plus recognized profits, less B. the sum of recognized losses and progress billings for all contracts in progress for which costs incurred plus recognized profits less recognized losses exceeds progress billings. Para 43. The gross amount due to customers for contract work is the net amount of A. the sum of recognized losses and progress billings, less B. costs incurred plus recognized profits for all contracts in progress for which progress billings exceed costs incurred plus recognized profits less recognized losses. Para 44. An enterprise discloses any contingencies in accordance with accounting standard as 4 contingencies and events occurring after the balance sheet date. 4 contingencies may arise from such items as warranty costs, penalties, or possible losses.